guys, how you doing? So we got an interesting chat for you today. Today I'm going to tell you stuff that you already know. In fact, everything I'm going to tell you today you already know. You've just probably never been told before. As the guys alluded to, we're going to be talking about authenticity and specifically what I call window dressing. And I thought I'd start with probably an example of window dressing that resonates with all of us. The humble Big Mac. So you've probably all seen one of these, certainly seen one of these adverts. Enough to make a vegan's mouth water. Delicious beef patty, fresh green lettuce, lovely cheese. But the reality, when we unwrap that Big Mac, is often somewhat different. A disheveled, beaten up, tired, dry, flat, tasteless. I've not got anything against McDonald's, by the way, but it looks very different to that the ad says and suggests that we might be eating or might be buying. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, window dressing. You're going to have to excuse my language, because window dressing, where I come from, I call something different. I call it bullshitting. But for the sake of today, and for the sake of that there may be children watching, we're going to call it window dressing. But window dressing, just to be clear, has got absolutely nothing to do with these guys, mannequins. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the H&M shop window. It's all about how brands and us now today as consumers are window dressing with our own lives. Window dressing, according to the dictionary, is the superficial or misleading presentation of something designed to create a favourable impression and result. Bullshitting. So, again, you can see where I'm going with this. Brands have been window dressing, careful use my right words here, so brands have been window dressing for years. And I think it's relatively obvious why brands window dress. They want to make more money. They want to sell perfection, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. They're constantly looking to drive revenue and close business and make a sale. The question I have, though, with these brands is there an underlying desire for them to mislead us as consumers? Because whether we like it or not, we are being misled by brands. But it's the norm. It's what we've come to expect. The difficulty, or the thing I have struggled coping with, is now how this is spilled out into our own lives, into our personal lives. And I'm going to give you an example now. I'm going to give you an example of somebody who works for me. So this is a guy, he's in his early 20s. He works for me, just remember that. I know how much this guy gets paid. I know he spends most of his evenings sat in his underpants playing Call of Duty. However, if you go on and you have a look at his Instagram page, it tells a very, very different story, which looks something like this. According to his Instagram page, he eats out at Nobu 7 nights a week. He drinks litres of Belvedere vodka every Friday night in nightclubs, and he has a collection of Rolex watches. Window dressing. And we all do it. I do it. I'll give you some examples about me in a minute. But essentially what we're doing, and we're doing this now as persons, as individuals, we're only showing the world what we want the world to see. And I think in doing that, we've really kind of blurred the lines between reality and window dressing. I'll give you an example of myself. Let me not just pick on all my staff for a day. So I wake up on a Saturday morning. I sit downstairs, again, in my underpants, there's a view for you, and I tuck into a bowl of cornflakes. Do I take a picture of that and do I put that on Instagram? No, of course not. When I wake up and I'm feeling a little bit adventurous in the kitchen, and I get some whole grain toast, I crush some avocado, I drizzle it with some vinaigrette, and I put some fresh rock pink salt on top. Do I take a picture of that and do I put it on Instagram? Of course I do. Because that's how I live. That's what I have every day. We all do it. We all window dress, right? So this thing got me thinking, well, why do we window dress as consumers? It's the obvious. For brands, as I said, it's all about selling product. It's about shifting boxes. It's about making money. But as consumers, why do we window dress? I think today, more so than ever, we are constantly seeking approval. We're constantly looking for acceptance amongst our peers. And we have real big fears of rejection, fears that turn into actual insecurities. I have a dog. Oh, my dog, she's my pride and joy. If I put a picture of my dog on the internet and I get less than 50 likes, I'm pretty much suicidal. What's happened to me? Why am I like that? We're all like it. We live in this world, as I say, where we're constantly, this Instagram generation, this social media world, constantly looking for these things. So this kind of got me thinking, well, where's this come from? I know that brands, this false advertising, they've always done that, but where's it come from, and how's it got into our world, into our lives, into our personal lives? I've got 5 words for you. Kim, Chloe, Courtney, Kendall, Kylie. Right? So by the way, I'm a big fan of these ladies, but they are the queens of window dressing, right? In fact, they window dress so much, I don't think even they know who they are anymore. If you go back and you watch an early episode of The Kardashians, it is a reality show. It's a fly-on-the-wall show. If you watch them today, it's a completely different show. Every single post, every single piece of content that these people put out on social media is window dressed. And we as consumers, we as the general public have accepted that as the way of life. And we do that today. I know many women, girls out there, who will, before going out for a night, for a drink, for a bite to eat, whatever, will take a selfie. They won't just take a selfie like this. Get my angles here. They will stick their bum out like this, their chest out like this, and their lips out like this. Nobody walks around like that. They're window dressing. They only want the world to see what they want to show the world. So, we're all in agreement that this is where we are. So then got me thinking, well, how do we see through this? How do we see through this kind of facade, this window dressing? The honest answer is there isn't a real kind of magic formula or answer to seeing through window dressing. My mum, and you all know someone like this, my mum can see through every single one of my Instagram posts. Yeah? She can see through the BS, the window dressing. That's because she knows who I really am. I think as well, as consumers, we've become so much more smarter. We've become more savvy. And I guess we've kind of taught ourselves or learned a kind of a sort of sixth sense, a kind of spidey sense, if you will, that means when we see content, especially online, especially on social media, or when we're told something, we question it. We question what we see and we question what we're told. Not a great place. And I think, this problem, this window dressing problem has caused us to doubt things. So where does this leave us? Where does this leave us with how we behave towards brands? So the example I gave earlier of McDonald's, I know there's false advertising going on there. I know that when I order a hamburger, it's not going to look like it does in the pictures. I only ever go there when I'm hungover on a Saturday morning, and actually I don't care what it looks like, so I'm going to order one anyway. But how does this change how we behave towards each other? If we're being misled by friends, by family, by colleagues, does this change how we interact and how we behave towards each other as people? I think it can. I think it has to. I think it's only natural for us to let what we see in this social world actually drive and change how we think and how we feel. Which leads me on to this, authenticity. So this is my buzzword. Every meeting I go in at the moment, I talk about authenticity. And this for me is something that we seem to have kind of lost our way with a little bit, right? Authenticity, according to the dictionary, is the quality of being real or true. Honest. There's a whole plethora of words you could use to describe this. So some brands, and they are few and far between, but some brands do a really good job with this. I don't know if any of you will remember the beauty brand Dove ran a campaign called Real Beauty, or Inner Beauty. So let's be honest, the beauty industry is quite a fickle industry, typically made up of size 0 airbrushed blonde beauties. And Dove completely changed that. They changed that by using real women. Women of different skin tones, different ages, different body shapes. certain things sagging, with wrinkles, things where they shouldn't be. And they got celebrated the world round for this campaign. This campaign got covered by every news publication on the planet. Their videos had millions of views, and they won every single industry award that you can think of. Just let that sink in for a minute. They were celebrated and they won awards for being honest and authentic. For me, there's a bit of a disconnect there. We should be doing that every single day. Every single brand should be doing that. We shouldn't be celebrating the literally one or two that are doing it. We should be expecting that from brands and from people alike. So what about our personal lives? If we become authentic on social media, in our personal lives, are we in danger of becoming boring? Do we become less valuable? Do we become less interesting? Some of you may or may not have heard of something called Tinder. If you have a Tinder profile, do you window dress or do you be authentic? You window dress. If you were authentic, the number of swipe rights, I know what I'm talking about, would be much, much lower. The danger with authenticity is that, and this is where you need to bear with me a little bit, authenticity can go too far. Or I pose the question, what if authenticity goes too far? What if we actually end up staging authenticity? What if we end up engineering authenticity? My friends, the Kardashians, do a fantastic job at this. If we end up engineering authenticity, we're actually going right back to the beginning, and we're window dressing again, albeit with slightly rougher edges. The issue is, if we engineer authenticity, for me, we're actually, I guess the risk of being found to deceive, to decept, the risk of losing trust is much greater. So we have options, I guess, as people, as individuals. There are two effectively different paths we can go down. On one path, to the far left, we can wash our hands of social media. We can opt out of the social game, give up on the pursuit of approval. You know the guys, beards. They don't drink Starbucks. They drink artisan home-brewed coffee. Fucking hipsters. So you've got them at one end of the scale. At the other end of the scale, you've got the people, Donald Trump, the guys he uses. You've got the Kardashians, those who up their social media game. Those who engineer authenticity. Those that go hell for leather in trying to prove and be something else. What do we do? Do we do one? Do we the other? For me, the answer is obvious. We do neither. It's important to be on social media, especially today. But if you're going to do it, be authentic. Be true to yourself. Be real. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. And I find that weird. Why should it be struggle or be difficult to be authentic? It's difficult because of these things. It's difficult because being authentic requires us to be transparent. It requires us to have integrity, be pride, be honest. And it requires us to be vulnerable. Oh my God, who the hell's going to be vulnerable on social media? And that's really difficult. But if you can get that right as a brand or as a person, as a kind of individual, I believe that the honesty and the opportunity and the qualities that people will see in you will far outplay anything that you would ever do or ever achieve by window dressing or engineering authenticity. So I guess just to finish, for me, we spend a lot of time on these devices. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. The world's changing. I don't watch television anymore. I spend my time on here. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being on these devices. But I do think if we're going to be on these devices, we should stop worrying about trying to create this digital persona. Stop trying to show the world what we want the world to see. Whether we are a brand or whether we are an individual, we need to be, and you need to be, the best version of you. I'm 40 years old. I dress like a 16-year-old. I've got blue hair, for those of you that saw it upstairs. I don't give a shit what people think of me. I don't window dress. This is who I am. Take me as who I am, whether it's online, whether it's offline. And I'd encourage everybody here in this room to think before making a post on social media, and do that yourselves. Be authentic, yeah? Be true to yourself. Be real. Take a risk. It might just pay off. Thank you very much.